Hello good people of YouTube, my name is Crazy M and welcome to the SAR 21 attachment guide. Now the SAR, the Singapore assault rifle, is a bullpup design pretty much like the AUG A3, but I have to take that up front that this is not really a weapon that excels at moving accuracy, even though as a bullpup it should do, but it doesn't really. But there's still some fine details about it, so let's get into it. It has a muzzle velocity of 650 meters per second, which is okay, it is decent. It is not the fastest, but it's not the slowest, somewhere in the middle ground, and that's where we're gonna see the weapon positioned eventually overall, in my opinion. It has a decent, rather slow round per minute of 600, which is obviously not that much, but it makes the weapon more controllable, so not too good for close quarters engagements, but quite suitable for medium to long range. It has pretty much the same damage model as all other assault rifles in the game, coming in at 25 damage up to 8 meters, and then the drop off down to 55 meters where it will only do 18 damage. So this means from a 4-shot kill up to a 6-shot kill depending where you hit and the distance. That's pretty much standard, so nothing special there. On real times it is somewhere in the middle ground in my opinion. It is not too bad, especially if you can manage to keep one bullet in the chamber at least, and it will allow you to reload at 2.3 seconds, otherwise you're gonna have to wait 3.4 seconds, which is quite a while, so I suggest you try to not empty your whole gun, but instead reload on at least one bullet in the chamber, which will make things a lot easier and smoother for you to play. Now, the SAR is kind of an interesting gun because the recoil isn't that much, but sometimes it still doesn't seem that accurate, and I'm gonna show you why that is. The vertical recoil is only 0.18, which is not a whole lot and makes it quite controllable, but the bad thing is that it has a left and right pull from 0.2, which is quite a bit considering that it goes in both directions, which makes the gun a little bit uncontrollable and hard to predict. It's not too bad though, so that's still why it remains quite accurate. Also it has a very little spread increase when you're firing in full auto, so that should help with long range accuracy as well. The ADS spread is pretty much on par with all other assault rifles, with 0.2 when you're standing still and 1 when you're moving. So as I said, it doesn't really help that it's a bullpup. The same goes for the hipfire accuracy, pretty much on par with everything else. Around 3 when you're standing still and 3.5 when you're moving. It has different values in whether you're prone or lying, but I'm not gonna go too much into detail right there now. It also has a 1.8 first shot multiplier on the recoil, which isn't too much in my opinion, and again, it's quite controllable. It has a decent rate of fire, so rather easy to use gun, which is really quite balanced for most situations in my opinion. Now we are going to take a look at all the attachments that you can put on there and how that will affect your accuracy and recoil patterns. Now first and foremost I want to add that in here I have not the recoil patterns for the vertical or ergo grip, since both only affect ADS spread when you're moving, so this should help quite a lot if you're a lot on the move when you're shooting, but it isn't really a thing that I can reproduce on this pattern, so keep that in mind. If you're moving a lot, if you're relying in a lot of close quarter situations, that might be a really good option. Other than that, I have pretty much all in there. Of course, some things I have not tested, like an angled foregrip on a hipfire recoil pattern won't make much of a difference because it only affects first shot recoil multipliers and so on. But you will see for yourself, so let's hop right in and take a look at those recoil patterns. So let's start off with hipfire patterns. These are from about 5 meters distance, so rather close range, and we can see what each of the attachments will do for you in hipfire engagements. Now, the hipfire on a standard gun without any attachments isn't too bad in my opinion. It's one of the reasons why I like that gun, because it is quite usable in close range as well, so not too bad here. Obviously, if you attach a muzzle brake, it will dump down that recoil a little bit, but it adds a whole lot more of spread in my opinion, so for hipfire not really a good option. The compensator on the other hand is quite a good idea because it removes that side to side recoil, and so you get a narrow pattern, a little bit more spread the longer you fire, but if you even burst it a little bit in close quarters, it might do some good job as well. The next one is the heavy barrel, and we see again hipfire isn't too great, but the first few shots are quite a tight pattern, so I believe if you keep bursting in close range you can do a good job, but again your time to kill gets longer and longer, so not really the optimal option, but when we move to longer range we will see why the heavy barrel isn't too bad of an idea in my opinion. Last one is the suppressor, and we see that this really is pretty much the worst hipfire solution, and I don't really like the suppressor on the gun anyways, but we'll come to that later. Following that is everything with a laser sight attached, and in my opinion there's not really a huge reason not to attach a laser sight, other than if you really want to use a flashlight or if you feel that it is giving your position away far too often. So other than for that reasons, I would put the laser sight on there, since there's not a whole lot of other things that you could use on the slot, and as you see it makes everything a lot more accurate. Even the muzzle brake isn't too bad now, and you will get much better hipfire results with the laser sight. Following that, we have the potato and the stubby grip, which are the only ones that will affect your hipfire accuracy when standing really that much. As I said, the angled grip with the first shot multiplier really wouldn't do that much in the hipfire situation, and the ergo grip or the vertical grip will help you when you're moving, so keep that in mind. If you're moving, that's the best grip. Other than that, I really like potato and stubby, which you can see here, it really tightens those patterns up quite a bit. Not so much on the suppressor, but everything else just gets a bit better. So potato stubby for my part, if you're using it for long range as well. If you're moving a lot, go with vertical and ergo grip. So now we're moving to a 50 meters distance and taking a look at the aiming down sight accuracy from there. As we can see on an empty gun, the first few shots are quite okay, but after that it gets quite random. As I said, the side-to-side recoil with an equal pull is not really that great of an option here. With the muzzle brake, it really just reduces recoil a little bit, but adds a lot of random bullet deviation, so I would stay away from that, especially since the gun doesn't have too much of a vertical recoil. Don't put a muzzle brake on there. On the other hand, the compensator, in my opinion, is quite a nice choice if you just can't get the feeling right for the wiggle of the gun, so it will help you to get your pattern a bit tighter without having to worry too much about it. But again, the longer you fire, the more random it will get, so be sure to use short bursts there. The next option is the heavy barrel, which in my opinion is still one of my favorite ones, because we can see the first 3 shots are pretty much in a straight line, pretty easy to control, and if you keep it in that close burst range you will get good results. But it adds a bit more kick, so you have to decide for yourself if you can counter that. Especially if you're on console, it might be easier for you to use a compensator and not worry too much about the recoil of a heavy barrel. The last option is the suppressor, and as you can see again, it really doesn't help the side to side wiggle at all, and it's really random, so I can't hit much if I use the suppressor, so if I were you, I would stay away from that. The next option that we have is put a stubby and a potato grip on there. Either one will work, and as we can see, it helps a bit with the spread over time, so the shots will be more accurate the longer you fire. And it also gives you a slight boost in ADS accuracy from the start on, not by much, but it still helps. So overall, the stubby grip is a decent option which will make you a little bit more accurate over time, and we can see every pattern tightens up a little bit, but again, the muzzle brake isn't really a good option in my opinion. Stay with a compensator or heavy barrel and you will do quite well. The last thing that we could put on there is an angled foregrip. This will help you with a first shot recoil multiplier, which is especially nice if you're burst firing. So as we can see, this doesn't really change too much in all of the patterns because I go full auto on that and you can't really see the full potential of that. But what I want to stress is that muzzle brake again isn't really good. Compensator might do quite a nice job, but again, I think that the side-to-side recoil negation, but the added bullet deviation kind of cancel each other out. So we can see that here that still looks a bit random. So compensator or not, it's a decision that you make upon feeling. And I don't really know about that. You have to decide for yourself. It might be a good option, it might not. The one thing that is still my favorite is the heavy barrel, especially with an angled foregrip. The first 2 shots get closer together, so you're quite capable of hitting a 3-shot burst over long range. And remember that 2 bursts, enemy down, and you're good to go. So this is the thing that I use, or I use it with the stubby grip, either one of those two, and I really like that combination. Again, suppressor not really my thing. far too much random deviation and all that. So heavy barrel compensator, something like that, and an angled foregrip or a stubby, as well as a laser sight, do it for that gun for me. So yeah guys, I hope this was helpful. I hope these bearings helped you to decide what you want to put on your SAR-21. If you have any suggestions for future weapons or some things that I could change about the layout, please leave them in the comments. Leave a like if you appreciated my work here, and as always guys, I wish you a really nice day. Leave me a sub if you want to see more, and I'll see you next time.